Hey everyone, it is Anna Runyon from Classy Career Girl. Welcome and thanks for joining us today. I'm excited to introduce you to Carey Leader. She is the operations manager at World Teacher Aide. And today, World Teacher Aide has constructed 8 complete schools with a total of 40 classrooms, providing daily education to over 3,000 students, which is incredible. And hopefully we can dive into that more. But the point of this is I really just wanted to talk to her about her career transition and what she's doing now, where she came from. It's an incredibly inspiring story, and I think you guys are going to be very motivated about it. So we're going to learn more about what her career is like today, and also, how she made that career transition. And this is all part of our month-long interviews of women who've made transition into careers that they love. So I hope you find it inspiring. If you're feeling a little stuck in your career, we're all about getting you unstuck. So let's get started. Thank you so much for being here, Carey.
Thanks, Anna, for the invite, and I'm so happy to help you out with this interview process. And it's exciting to share my story and how I transitioned as well to the career that I have my dream job. So
awesome.
Thank you.
And we share kind of a similar mission too, because it sounds like you're all about empowering people as well.
Absolutely. It's definitely, I feel like I've been given that gift of encouragement, and I just love helping people get to the potential that they can be. And even if I'm in the background helping out, I feel like that is something that I've been gifted with, the talents and the gifts that I've been designed to do on this world. So yeah, I'm really inspired by you as well and the work that you're doing. And I'm learning so much more about the Classy Career Girl community, and it's fantastic. So
awesome. Well, we've just had the business class to build the classroom in Kenya, and it's been so inspiring to see all the women get behind the mission of supporting World Teacher Aide and learning more about what you do too. So let's start there. Tell us about what you do at World Teacher Aide. What is a day in your life like? I always tell people to do informational interviews, so I'm going to do an informational interview question. What is it like, to work at World Teacher Aide?
So yeah, I've been with World Teacher Aide for about 1.5 years now. I am their operations manager. Full-time, I've been with them for about 1 year. July 1st, I celebrated my 1-year anniversary full-time with them. I started out part-time, and one thing led to another, and we decided to make that transition to full-time. So I am their operations manager, and I am their only full-time employee here in North America. So you can imagine with Amy and I, we get a lot done, but my day kind of looks different every day, which I kind of love, waking up, kind of having some routines daily, but I really get to work on projects for the charity to really fulfill the goals of what World Teacher Aide wants to do. So a day in my life looks like working on emails and responding back, setting up times for Amy's schedule. So a lot of admin work in the background. But as also, I always get to help relations with our donors. So building those relationships, making sure that our key influencers are able to communicate our goals, as well as how they can help continue to support our effort. And so I also get to travel quite a bit, which is a huge love of mine and passion. I'm so fortunate that I get to travel because it opens up your worldview so much more than just being stuck here in North America. So I help fundraise with that. So we travel to different events, whether it's PLF, which is Jeff Walker, or Russell Brunson's, or we're going to Ryan Levesque's event this year as well. There's a few Tribe Live, how we met, and so I travel with that, and I'm the one that gets to be the face of the charity in the background. So you'll see me at the table, interacting with people, processing forms for donations, but that's one of my favorite parts, is the interaction with people and getting to share our story with people that want to know more and how they can help with the charity. Yeah, and then I get to help with our donor trip that you're coming on. We're so excited. I'm so excited for you to be coming with us. In October, we're taking about 80 people, which is crazy, but we're excited. So I get to help plan Amy with that trip. Travel is also, I'm sure she mentioned in her interview how much she loves to travel. We both love it. So it's like traveling, planning trips, adventures is something that we both enjoy doing, and making it special for our donors is, I feel like we're really good at, and making sure those small little details down to the, well, what if what is the t-shirt's going to look like, or special little gifts, or making sure we have enough tents, and making sure people are comfortable. So yeah, that's a little bit what I do. I feel gift as well, like we shared, is like support. And I feel like if I can help Amy do this role as operations manager, I will do whatever I can for her, and try to make her life a little easier. If it's something I could take off her plate, like, I will. So, because she volunteers her time and I get paid to do it. So, and it's something I love. It's actually a really dream job, that I get to work from home, get to travel, get to help leave a huge impact on this world, and help other people leave an impact. And so people are like, what do you do? And I try to explain, and I just say it's a dream job. So that's a little bit about what I do on a daily basis. Like I said, it changes every day.
Something different every day, it sounds like, but then you also get to like help and impact, and watch see what you're doing is making a bigger impact too. And I think that's an awesome job to have. I love that you say you're in your dream job too.
Yeah, at 34, I didn't think I was going to be able to say that, but because I don't think a lot of 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds can say that they have their dream job. And I'm so fortunate to say that I do have a dream job. And it was just something that was not even on the horizon, and I wasn't looking for it. I was really happy where I was, and it just one thing led to another, and it fell into my lap. So
tell me more about that. So what were you doing before World Teacher Aide, and how did you make that transition?
Yeah, so I was in higher education for 9 years. And what does that look like? I lived on a college campus for 12, 4 as an undergrad, and then 8 as a professional. And so I oversaw a residence hall. It's not a glamorous job. It's fun, but it's really hard. So during the school year, I was on basically 24/7 on call if there's emergencies. I like to coin that job as an educator of life. So you're teaching people, young adults, how to live on their own, and sometimes that's really hard. So it's not just, sometimes you're a mom, sometimes you're a doctor, sometimes you're a counselor, sometimes you're crisis management. It was also one of those jobs that you never knew what you're going to wake up to every day. But it was so rewarding because I was able to mentor a lot of future leaders, and especially the women, because it was a residence hall of women. And so I was very fortunate to have a team that I led every year of at least 12 to 15 student leaders. And that was my favorite part, was seeing them be the leaders, the women that they were designed to be, and to help them get to that point. Loved it. It was just very taxing. And I was on staff at my alma mater in Lakeland, Florida for about 7.5 years. And then I made a transition to go to a different school in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was just looking for another little part-time job, really. Honestly, never knew that the charity would be it. And my best friends were contacts of Stu and Amy, and they had reached out to her and said, hey, like, do you know anyone? She's like, actually, my best friend would be perfect. And so a interview that I thought would have lasted 20 minutes was an hour and a half. And I think we both kind of felt like this was the right move for us. And within a few weeks, I knew that it was going to be something long-term and working for them, because if you don't know Amy and Stu, they're pretty incredible people. And so I enjoyed living my passions through helping them through their passions. And so by July 1st, I was full-time. So I made that decision with my faith and making sure that it aligned with my goals in my life and my values, leaders that I truly am inspired by, but also respect, were really important to me. And I feel like Amy and Stu were those people. And so I really thought higher education was going to be the career I was going to be in. For a long time, I wanted to work myself up to a director's level, maybe VP one day. And there was something else for me. Like, and this was it. And so the door opened, and it was scary because all I knew was 9 years of higher education. And I felt like, for me, it was part of my faith that like, for me, I'm spiritual. So like, I prayed about it, and like, that was for me. Like, I know that I had a sense of direction of like, this is where you need to go. And I haven't looked back. And it's scary. It was scary. It was really scary because I was going to move like to a different part of the country that I did not grow up in, to be closer to my family if I made this decision. I was completely changing careers. Has nothing to do with my education, like my master's, my undergrad. But it was the best decision I made for my career. And I'm so glad I did it. And so I just looked at what would be the best decision for me. Like, how would I be able to leave a better impact? And that's what I love about Amy and Stu, is that they really want to leave a big impact. And that was why I was so inspired to work for them, because I want to leave an impact. Even if I'm behind the scenes, I'm still leaving a huge impact. So yeah, so that's a little bit where I was before the charity and how I made that transition to working for World Teacher Aide. So
a couple of things I noticed too is that you focused on like what was the best path for you. I'm sure they did not want you to leave. I'm sure they were like, no, you're incredible, don't leave us.
Yeah.
But
I remember the day I walked into my boss's office and I like closed the door, and she's like, oh no. I'd only been there for a year, and she's like, I was like, I need to talk to you. And she's like, oh no. And I was like, she's like, is this good or bad? I said, well, it's good for me. I don't know about you. And so, I mean, it was a good conversation, and she encouraged me too. She's like, if that's what you're passionate about, don't live in where you're not passionate about. And so I was so inspired by her leadership to give me the okay to leave. And so, yeah.
And also so you did use networking then. You asked your friend if they knew anyone in like the career you wanted, right?
Well, actually, it was Stu and Amy that reached out to my friend. And so they were looking for someone to help part-time with a charity. And so, but yeah, I mean, she had always said, do you want an extra job? Like, I can probably find, she's really good at like finding people, their niches and the right people. So I always knew that, but there was never anything that I was like, oh my God, I need that position, when we had talked about different things. So she's really, well known, and the people come to her all the time saying, I need an assistant. Like, who can you pull? So definitely networking is huge. If it wasn't there, I wouldn't be with World Teacher Aide today. So.
And then I also like that you did research on the company, or the organization you were going to, and the leaders, and made sure that they matched your values and your beliefs and the impact that you wanted to make. And so I think that's something we forget too. Like, when you are changing careers, do you do a ton of research on the leader? You know,
Absolutely.
that research is so important to make sure it lines up with your values. Otherwise, you might get into a situation where it's like, that doesn't match up with what you value and the decisions you make. So I love that you spent the time doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a previous boss. He said there was 3 C's of how he would hire. It would be character, competency, and I forgot the last C, but those 2 things are huge for me. Like, your character and your competency, and chemistry. That's what it was. And that night I knew I had the chemistry with Amy and Stu I knew that they had competency, like they knew what they were doing, but I had to research the character to make sure that that was in alignment with my goals and my values. And so when I knew those 3 C's were in alignment, I was like, for sure, let's go for it, and dive right in. So yeah, I think it's important to research, because you have to be happy where you're at. And if you're making a career transition, you don't want to work for someone that doesn't have high character or integrity. And for me, that's an important value.
Yeah. So we have a lot of women who want to make a bigger impact in their careers, and they're just feeling stuck, maybe doing a job that's not having the impact that they want to have. Like, what would be your advice to someone who wants to make a career change and have that bigger impact, and ideally traveling as well?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it was, again, some of that was alignment with my values. And the advice I would give someone that wanted to make that transition was, is it the right timing in your life? For me, it was the right timing, because I was getting burnt out. I could sense my physical burnt out, my mental, my spiritual burnt out. For me, I think that's where I had to check when I made that decision to transition. where am I? Is this something that I could really honestly see myself? And in my 20s, I probably would have said yes. But as I have gotten older and a little bit wiser, I realized that, like, I don't know. And if I didn't take the chance to say, I don't know, I would have been stuck, I think, and probably been really unhappy in the last few years. And so that would be huge. I think just evaluate where you're at. Evaluate where, is this aligning with your values? Does it align with where you're at in the season of your life? Is it something that is going to allow you to further yourself and to allow you to further your impact? And so I think if you're researching of how to leave a better impact, start locally. Like, just start somewhere, whether it's your church, whether it's a boys and girls club or some small organization. Like, you don't have to make a huge career change to leave an impact. You can just look just in your home. Like, how can you impact your city first? Or how can you impact your home? For me, that was huge. And I volunteer at my church. I make sure that it's something that's important for me, because if I can do it overseas, like, why can't I do it in my city and help them leave an impact? So I think that's where you just start small. And then take the big leap. Like, take the big leap of faith of, like, okay, maybe you should start your own nonprofit. I've been inspired by Amy to really think about that. Like, there are some things that I believe that I'm really good at, and one of them is, like, empowering young women to be great leaders. And I have been really thinking and praying, like, how do I do that? Like, is it a nonprofit that I start in the next few years, or is it a membership site, or is it something that I can give back? And I would want to give back. I want to be able to fully give something back. And I've been very fortunate to have some incredible leaders that I'm sitting under to help make those decisions, help make those formulate thoughts and creative minds to really do that. I think creativity is important. I'm a person that likes to get everything on paper, to be able to visualize it. So visual boards, I see your background, like the quotes, like, I'm with you too, girl. Like, I have that all in my office. Like, that's important for me. And to know that, like, those are things that I want to get to. And so I think just evaluating yourself, evaluating where you can leave an impact right now, and then take a big leap of faith. And I think those are really good things to do if you think you're in transition. So
love that. There's so many places locally that need support and need help.
Yeah.
Like, if you just reach out to one of them and offer to volunteer just an hour even, like, it's just,
yeah.
they'll soak it up. I know that's what I was doing when I started too.
Yeah.
Trying to using your strengths to help other people, no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
So what did you do? When you said you had that interview with Amy, obviously it was a success. It was like, it went really well. And it worked. You got hired right away, and it was just, like, meant to be. But, like, were you nervous? And, like, how do you feel like what did you do during that interview that you felt like led to that success?
Well, I was definitely nervous, but maybe it's just Amy's too. They don't make you nervous after the first few minutes. So I definitely wanted to be prepared. So that's why I researched Amy and do a little bit research the charity, that I understood their mission, like, understood their values. And I didn't want to go in looking like I didn't know them, like I wasn't prepared. So definitely prepare. Like, that's huge in my opinion, is prepare for any interview, and practice with a friend. Like, I don't think I've ever told them this, but I like practice with my friend, like, questions. What do we think they're going to ask? Making sure that I had my thoughts together and how I could help them, and making sure that I could give them my strengths, or even some of my growth areas that I still need to continue to work on. I think it's okay to talk about that. I think it's okay to tell them that you're not perfect, because I'm not perfect at all. And I think sometimes you shine through that. I think you shine through some of your growth areas. And I think that also gives your leader that you're real, and that you're not going to just say one thing to get the job. And so I definitely was very nervous at the beginning. Within like 5-10 minutes, I was like, oh, this is fine. I feel like they're friends, and all that. But I think that also has to do with just my confidence in who I am. Like, it's taken me a long time to get to that place of saying that I'm a confident woman, and I have taken a lot of years to get to there, and a lot of pages in my journal reflect that. And so if they always say, like, make it till you fake it, I don't really like that, but like sometimes you do have to make it to like fake it till you make it. And so I wasn't determined to fake things. And so I put my head held high. Like, I make sure I dressed good. Like, I felt good. Like, physically, I felt good. Spiritually, I felt good. Mentally. And I think all those things aligned. And as soon as I realized that they're just people, like Amy and Stu are just people. Like, yes, they're very successful in what they do, but realizing they're just people. Like, and you can still shine with just people and just being who your personality. Like, I let my quirky self and make fun of myself through the interview and make them laugh. Like, just being confident in who you are and who you're designed to be is really important to me, I think, in an interview process. And making sure that you're comfortable physically, emotionally, spiritually, like holistically prior to that is really important. That just takes time. For me, it was writing in my journal. For me, it was praying. For me, it was spending some time by myself and just making sure I was centered before that interview, practicing, like I said, with my friend with questions, and then actually talking to them again and debriefing of how the interview went was really important for me. So it just wasn't about the interview. It was actually the debriefing as well with people that I know that understand being an entrepreneur, being in nonprofits. What does that mean? How do you leave an impact? And so gather some friends around you, gather a mentor. Like, mentorship is really important to me as well. And so I talk to them. Like, I said this, was that wrong? And so those are just my little thoughts. So
no, I love that. I think it's important to remember. I think when I was interviewing and I was stuck, I would like go from my day job and I would just rush to the interview, and I wasn't exactly all the things you were saying. I like myself because I was stressed and I was, rushing to get there. And so I think how you said it was like the ideal. It's not how I did it. I'm remembering like that one time where I was like so stressed to get to the interview, but like you put yourself in the right situation for you so you could make sure that you presented yourself the best possible way that you could. And so making sure that you had done all those things was really helpful for the interview.
Yeah, for sure.
Love that. Awesome. So I would love to end by asking you to share some of your favorite like memories of your trips to Kenya and the impact that we haven't really talked about. We talked about how we all want careers with impact, but like tell us some of like those moments that I'm sure like have been etched in your brain, right? Of those memories.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. And I was like trying to think of what stories I wanted to share with you. So I'll try to narrow it down to a few. So I've been to Kenya twice with the charity. One last year was my first dinner trip. So I was kind of just observing how a trip runs. And then Amy and I went back in May this year just to connect with our schools that are being built and where we're going to bring our donors this year, and making sure all of our contacts were in line. So I have a story for each of them. So I'll start with the one back in May. We have an employee, his name is Sam. He's our full-time field rep, and he does a phenomenal job with our community. And I don't know if necessarily I knew exactly how committed like he was to these communities, because we're in totally different 2 time zones. It takes a long time to communicate sometimes with each other. But we were driving in the van, and we did a lot of driving because it takes just a long time to get to these communities because they are in the middle of nowhere. But it's beautiful, middle of the nowhere. But he kept saying, like, we're getting so much done. Like, and Kenyan time and North American time are a little bit different. And so I think our brains are like, we got to go every day. Like, we have a schedule, whereas Kenyan, you just take your own time. But it kept saying, like, man, we're getting so much done, and it's only day 2. And I'm like, well, that's why we came to work. We came to make sure that this trip is going to be successful for our donors and for the people that are attending. And I just looked around, and I'm like, wait, we are getting a lot done. And I just had this like sense of peace in my heart that like it just reflected to me is that we are doing a lot. It's not about this trip, but like what Amy and Stu have been able to establish, and the people like with me being brought on the team, with Sam being brought on the team, we have a counselor now. Like, we are doing so much and with so little. Like, to say that there's only one full-time employee and how much impact we're going. And I was just a sense of like awness, I guess, of just, it brings tears to my eyes, because I'm like, okay, again, this just reminds me of, this is my dream job. Like, I literally said I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to leave an impact. I wanted to see this world that was created, and we're doing it, and we're leaving a huge impact. And then we're doing it really at a high rate with a little bit of people. And I think it's scary at sometimes when people want to leave an impact because they feel like they have to have this huge team. And I was just reminded that sometimes things start out really small, but yet they are really big in the end. And it just was one of those all moments. I was like, oh, this is what it's really about. Like, it's not about exactly what we're doing. It's about how little we are and how big this world is and how we're leaving that impact. And so a lot of people are like, what about the kids? What about the schools? Like, isn't that your favorite part? It is. But I think those moments in our life when we realize how little we are and how big this world is was just something that I needed to have personally, just for making like an alignment with my career decision and making sure, again, because you're reflecting, because it was almost a year. I was like, okay, am I doing the right thing in my life? Like, am I doing the right job? Because I don't want to do something that I'm not supposed to be doing. And I was just reminded in that trip that was like, this is where you're supposed to be. Like, even though sometimes it can be stressful, some days are not always peaches and cream. Sometimes it is hard. You have to make hard decisions. But I literally sat and just, I don't think anyone saw me. I was like tears in my eyes. And I was just like, okay, this is it. Like, this is it. And so I was just encouraged. And I've been able to share that story with a few of my students that I still mentor. And it's just encouraging to see how that light has had on their impact and their like decisions of what they're making, and because they're studying to be doctors and teachers. And I was just so encouraged by that and that trip. And so that was probably my favorite moment, besides getting to know like Sam more, because I've only met him one time in person. But and Irene, we did a crazy adventure in India together, so we got to see her a little bit more. But I love those moments. And I think those moments in the truck or the van are some of my favorite, because conversations happen that I don't think I've ever would have been able to have. And because I can't speak Swahili, so I'm not going to have those conversations with the kids, but I can have those conversations with our team or with the donors in the future. And so that's probably one of my favorite stories from this past trip. And then in August, I have a picture on my background on my computer, and it's of me like doing a little selfie with a bunch of kids. And it's at a community that we were scouting. And my heart was a little heartbroken that day because they weren't ready for us to build. Because we don't go into a community unless they're established. The government has to plot out their land, and there has to be leadership. And we just want to make sure that they're going to be successful. So my heart broke that day because I knew that they weren't going to probably be able to for another year or so until we're able to really build. But I keep that picture on me because I get to see these beautiful smiles of these little African children that are something that I will always be etched in my mind. Like, there are certain images from that first trip that I will never forget. And these little kids are full, they have no idea. Like, this is all they know. Like, I live in a really comfortable home. I have food in my fridge, water that runs, heat and like AC whenever I need it. I have internet at my fingertips, and yet these kids are full of life, and they're living in a barn with nothing. Like, who knows if they're going to have food the next day. And it makes me really grateful for where I am, and to know that those smiles I'll get to see again, and the brightness that are behind those eyes are not diminished. Like, they're not jaded by what society has told them to be. And it has inspired me to even be more confident and with my goals and my career, and to know that their stories, I may never get to see the fruit of it until later on in life. And it may never, and I'm okay with that. And I may never know what happens to the little boy that made this car literally out of wire And I have a picture that I always keep. I look back as well. That's why we love our photographers that come on our trip, because it's images, because that's how you're going to remember. And he made this car literally out of nothing, of just wires. And it reminded me that I'll probably never see that little boy again ever in my life, but there's still an impact that I can give back, and know that it's a lifelong, we're giving a lifelong impact. And I literally at times will just sit back and pinch myself, because I can't believe the life that I live. Like, seriously, like, this is amazing that I have been chosen to help leave an impact with Amy. And I love seeing those kids. Like, they make me so happy. And that's why I keep those pictures up. It's because it inspires me to do my job. It inspires me to donate a classroom. Like, I will donate a few within the next 5 years to donate some. So I'm making goals, and it's helps me to be inspired to live a huge impact on this world, even if I'm in the background. And I think sometimes people feel like they have to be out in the front, but you can't. Sometimes you have to be in the background, and I'm really okay being in the background and not getting the notary sometimes, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. And to see those kids smile and to give them a hug is worth it all. So those are some of my favorite moments.
I love that. You can relate to motivations are shining through. Like, what you're motivated by.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to go.
I can't wait for you to experience. Like, it's such a life-changing trip. It really is. And I think as entrepreneurs, they become more inspired to see how they can leave an impact, not just maybe in Africa or maybe in their city. Like I said, it's just not all about Africa. It can be actually about your own home, your own city, and you're going to experience something incredible. And it might be a little hard at times, because you're like, what can I do? And I sometimes just tell our donors, like, all you can do sometime is just give. You can start fundraising. You can figure out how you can leave an impact in your own city, or leave a bigger impact in the community that we visit. Like, there's so many options. So you're going to have a blast, and you get to have fun with all these other people and networking, and it's going to be amazing. So.
And you learn so much from yourself too when you go through
Yep.
the process. We just did the fundraiser, and you really just learn so much when you're not focusing on the money you need to make internally in your business. It's just like my ideas and like creativity just like skyrocketed. I couldn't even believe like what I was able to do with everyone else too, like partnering with other people in my community and my audience, and like I could never have created what we created just alone too. So it's like it brings out the best of you, of what you can produce with everything that all the gifts and the strength that you have, and then partnering with other people too. That's why I love like what you're doing too, because you're getting so many people with all these different strengths and bringing them together to help.
For sure. Yeah. So, yeah, it's great.
So inspiring. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your stories. I also love how it like the first story led into the second story too, of like how you wanted to do so much more. Like we all want to do so much more today, like but it's a long-term thing. And like, you know, hopefully someday in your life that school will be built in that location, and those kids will go to school there. And it's just such a motivating, inspiring story to look not just today and tomorrow, but to look long-term, like having that vision long-term.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to speak to your community, and I can't wait to share Kenya with you. And it's exactly. But thank you.
Where can people learn more about you and World Teacher Aide?
Yeah, so World Teacher Aide is www.worldteacheraide.org. I do have my own social media handle, so it's @Carey Leader if you want to know more about me. On Instagram is probably your best, or on Facebook. But yeah, we have a Facebook group, our Facebook page for World Teacher Aide. You can just search World Teacher Aide. Follow us. We do our updates there. We also have Instagram. It's World Teacher Aide. And so we would love for you to be a part of our community and to know more about us. We update it pretty regularly with pictures and just stories in our newsletter as well. So you can find us at World Teacher Aide at pretty much Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So
Awesome. And we are in the midst of a fundraiser too. So if you're interested in donating to this classroom that we're building in Kenya, you can go to www.classycareergirl.com/Kenya classroom to see the details for that. But I'm excited. We're gonna be sharing a lot on social media. Apparently the internet works while we're over there, so I'm excited to kind of document this journey. And to write, we were just talking about writing more and documenting it too, so you guys can see what the dollars are going to as well. So thank you so much, Carey, for being here.
Thanks, Anna.
Okay, we'll see you later.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye.